Greetings and hail up, brethren.
Bless up.
Greetings, my brothers.
Bless up.
Greetings.
Yes, I am.
Aye.
So we are gathered here today with Biblical and Manuel, and this is Mike B from Akashic Records. So, brethren, first, tell us a little bit about yourselves, your names, your studio names, where you're taking this call from, and where you grew up. We'll start with Biblical.
So I am biblical and I am here in Grass Valley, California. And my studio is known as Trinity Farm Music here in Grass Valley, California.
Right. And is that where you grew up?
I grew up in San Mateo, which is down in the Bay Area, a few hours from here. So I'm a little further east in the California hills, in the Sierra Nevadas.
Right. Right. And Manel, let's hear
Yeah.
a little bit about the eye.
Yes, I. This is Manuel, Guerra. People also know me as A Chant. A Chant Productions. Original from Barcelona, Spain. And yeah, running A Chant Productions label and musician, bass player, producer, Inji.
Where are you taking this
Yes,
call
sir.
from today?
I'm taking this call from Spain, from a place called Tortosa in the hills.
Yes, over the last year, you've been a few different places.
Yeah, been all around, trying to find the right place.
Where you been living the past year or two?
Been living in Ethiopia, Shashamane, and the UK. Between them two places, yeah.
Biblical. How did you first get into reggae music?
It's from a young age, from my older sister and my older brother, from hearing reggae music in the house I grew up in. So I first heard Bob Marley when I was in the first grade, and I used to love everything that my sister, I looked up to my brother and sister. But when I heard Bob Marley, it's something about it stood out that made me go and get this tape from her room and bring it into my own room so that I could listen to it on my own. And
Mm.
from there, I started listening to reggae, and it was like a gateway leading to all the other artists like Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer and on and on and on. So that's how it all began.
First grade is like 6 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you start listening to all of them at 6 years old? Bob, Peter, Bunny, everything?
yeah. I had my sister had a tape of Bob Marley Legend, and it's a tape cassette. I still have the cassette, and it's a special one because it's unique. It have a version of Buffalo Soldier that's more disco. It have a I never heard this mix on other albums. And then No Woman No Cry is also a faster tempo. So I have an ear for music my whole life. I pay attention and I remembered, oh, this No Woman No Cry is not the same that's on the other Legend CD. So I started to realize, oh, there's different mixes and different things. But yeah, that was the tape that first started it off for me. And I used to listen to Buffalo Soldier over and over again. Hearing the man say, I was stolen from Africa, brought to America. And as a youth, I thought, man, this man is showing me what's real, you know, telling me the truth. So I knew of its power from a young age. I felt it.
When did you first um understand there was this thing called Rastafari that was, maybe a whole.
That was, well, I think truly at that time I was picking up on it as far as him telling the story of Buffalo Soldier, you know, fighting for survival. So I started to understand, and I was raised going to Catholic schools, so I was being taught many things scripturally or spiritually, but listening to Bob Marley, I was hearing and picking up a different message and a different meaning than I was learning in school. So naturally, I stuck with that. I wanted to know more, but it happened a couple of years later when I was at home and I got to see a showing on TV. They were showing, I think it's called Bob Marley. It's a Bob Marley documentary. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Um, but anyways, I remember sitting there watching it with my mother and father, and it is a documentary all about Bob Marley's music and his life. And I remember seeing the man smoking a chalice, and they were smoking a telephone chalice, in the video. And I thought, wow, that's like a telephone that they turned and they built a chalice out of it. And from that point, I thought, these men know what's going on, they're sipping off this telephone chalice and praising the Most High musically and in their daily life. So that was the first time I really got to see it with my eyes,
Give thanks. All right.
Yeah.
So Manel, let's hear a little about your story. How did you get into reggae music at first?
Yeah, it was quite similar, really like it was not my sister, but my father used to have the Bob Marley CD in the car, you know? So he used to play it and that music just like catch my attention, And then that CD and in my room. And I used to play that CD again and again until I remember I went to some like big supermarket with my mom and see this CD with the Rastaman in the cover. And it was like some kind of mix of reggae, that you can find in the supermarkets. So I remember get that CD and then um, that CD, that mix actually had some good music, like Augustus Pablo, Jacob Miller. So I see these names on the credits and start to look more, and then start to like look more into Rastafari too, and all the vibe the energy that music carry, that hit me from young. Yeah, but I used to play Augustus Pablo 24/7. Pablo and go there with my melodica and yeah.
How old were you at that time?
It was like 12, 13, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember clear because it's like 12, 13. I mean, I don't know where the eyes come from, but here in Spain, it's like when your family start to let you go out alone sometimes, So I remember just go alone with my Walkman and the music and playing them songs, Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
And so what about playing music? When did that start, Manel, with the instruments?
Play music for me. I mean, again, I always played the melodica, since that age. Not that early, but I was like 14, 15 when I get my first melodica. So I always had the melodica, but never played nothing else. But it's not until I went to Barcelona, because by that time I used to live in a place named Andorra. It's a country between Spain and France. And then I went to live to Barcelona, and then is when I met a few brethren that they play music and they really they invite me and get me more into the, the instrumental aspect. You know what I mean?
One. Now, Biblical, I know the eye as a singer. Are you also playing instruments?
I can play instruments, but only self-taught. I never played in a band. I played percussion with musicians in a band, but having a studio here, I can play a little bit of everything. I can play drums, I can play bass, guitar, I can play keys, but it's only really self-taught, and so I'm not on a level like Manuel and other musicians where, I've practiced many, many, many hours. So
Okay,
I'm more of a singer, chanter
right.
than a musician.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, Biblical, what's the story of meeting Vaughn and Vaughn arriving at Trinity Farm, and how did this all take place?
Uh, well, it's a long story, truly, because I first met Vaughn, in like 2003, and I had heard the music from other brethren who came to my yard and said, "Wow, you got to hear this music." And so this was a couple years before. And so I had been listening to Midnite and hearing some of their releases, and, was moved by it right from the start because of its revolutionary sound and power. Um, the first time I met him, though, came about from a brethren of mine who used to link with their manager, trying to get them to come to California to do shows. And as a result of that, they had a tour, and they asked my brethren to be the driver on the tour. And he came to me and asked if I would go along with them because they needed an extra hand on this tour. So I ended up driving with them for 10 days as they played 6 shows in California. And that was the first time I met Vaughn or Ronnie or Abijah. And at the time it was Phil playing bass. And yeah, it was a blessing because I could not foresee what was coming and the moment at hand. And from the start, when I first met Vaughn, I realized this man doesn't play around, and he come to do your works because he approached me and he said to me, he looked me straight in the eye. He said, "You live around here?" And I said, "No, I live up in the hills. It's a couple hours from San Francisco, where we were at the airport." And he said, "You have a community?" And I said, "It's a small community." And he looked me in the eye and he said, "You don't need acceptance." And then he gets in the car and he left me just to contemplate on these words for years because I found it, mystical how he just said this to me right off the bat. But as time went on, I come to realize more and more why he told me these things, and he came to exemplify before my eyes the meaning of these words because I realized he was doing Jah works, and it wasn't about acceptance. It was just about doing what you can do. And so right off the bat, that was how we met, and it was very profound and inspiring. And I found it also like a big brother to myself who came to open my eyes and show me the way and teach me the truth. So that was a very special thing. And that was back in like 2003. And after that, you know, it led to moments where we were having shows in Grass Valley where my family, Oneness Sound Productions, were the promotion for the show. And so for years, we did several shows with Midnight here in Grass Valley. and even a couple in Lake Tahoe. And in all those years, I never got the chance to work with Vaughn in my studio. But, because he's a busy man. So anytime he would come into town, he was working with my brethren, A Chant and Higher Bound Productions. And so really through the time between 2003 until 2019, 2000,
Yeah,
2019.
19.
He had come to Grass Valley multiple times with shows, but I never approached him saying, "Hey, I have a studio and I'd like to do works." I just kind of said, if it happens, it happens. It'll happen, And so naturally, it just came to be in 2019 that my brethren Jaruba was here staying in my yard, and we were building music. Because in my studio at Trinity Farm, we have been working and building rhythms for years already with different musicians. And so I've been working on music and working with other artists for years prior to 2019. And when Jaruba came, we started building music and having sessions. And this is what led to Vaughn coming to Trinity Farm that year, because Jarubi and Vaughn were very close brothers. And Ruby told Vaughn that he should come out here because we have a lot of works in the process. So that's really what made it happen to lead to this album.
Got it. So you didn't really even invite Vaughn. Rubo told him he should come, and he came
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. And we have a lot of mutual brothers. So like I said, Aishan's in the area. He's in Grass Valley, Higher Bound Productions for years. I worked with him on my very first CD and on my second CD. And so we've played music together for years. And along the journey, going different ways, we've still always been in Grass Valley. And naturally, it just happened that when Vaughn would come into town, he had already linked with Higher Bound before. So they were continuing their projects that they had begun. And so, yeah, I never really invited him until Rubal said, yeah, there's works going here.
Wow.
And then I went to see a show of Akae Beka at Mo's Alley the last year he did shows. And after the show, I seen Ishans from Higher Bound, and he said, yeah, let's go hail up Vaughn. He's in the back. So I went, and Vaughn said, I'm coming up to your area soon. I'm going to come to your yard. And that was, I think, September, a month before he came.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
when he said that to me, you see, Vaughn was a man of his word. He would not say something unless he knew it was real, unless it was factual and actual. So I knew when he said that, I knew then it was on. And I trusted that too, because Jaruba was here. And so it was like he opened the door and gave him the word that everything's ready when you're ready,
Got it.
Yeah.
So Manuel, how do you tie into this story?
Well, I start going to Trinity Farms in 2016. I think 2015 or 2016. And yeah, from the first year, just building rhythms, with the musicians around and the brethren. So yeah, because Ras Pulse is the drummer of Trinity Farm, and he comes from the BI, St. Croix, so he's really close to Vaughn. They know each other from kids, you know what I mean, from an early age. So that was also, something to mention, but yeah, since 2016, when I went to Trinity Farm for the first time, they are building rhythms and recording different artists, and we active in the area. Fly to California, reach Trinity Farm, and met Rubel for second time. I met Rubel the year before that. No, the 2 years before that, something like that. So when I reached Trinity Farm, Rubel was there. So everything was good vibes and music. And yeah, I remember one day in the porch, Rubel called Vaughn, and they were talking about the vibes and the rhythms, and Vaughn said, yeah, let's make it happen, So that was really, how everything started, you know what I mean?
Wow. Okay. So 2019, the vibes are right. Vaughn says he's coming. Manuel, you're there. Rubel says it's time to record. So tell me about Vaughn actually arrives. The eyes are there. I understand there's like rhythms for years now. How did you play? First off, tell me how when he arrived, what the vibes were like. Who's all there? What's the energy?
Yeah, so it is mystical because when Vaughn came, he told I and I all that he thought he came to build rhythms with us.
Yeah.
He didn't know there was already rhythms from time in the past. So when we picked him up at the airport, driving to Grass Valley from San Francisco, is about 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive. We played a lot of rhythms and a lot of works that we had been working on already with other artists. And so it's that time that he first was hearing rhythms that were already built. And upon arriving, he said to us, yeah, I thought I was coming to build more rhythms. But when he heard the rhythm, he said, as far as I remember, he looked at Manuel and said, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to start recording now, Honestly, he came to the house. He came in the house. He grabbed the guitar. He sat down. He played a song on the guitar and just started wailing in the house, just as if he was, sanctifying the place. And after that, I think he said, let's go. Let's go to the studio and begin. And that was the first day. And I remember the second day, as I woke up early in the morning to drive my youth to school. It was about 7 a.m. and I came out, and Vaughn and Manuel were already outside on the front porch. As I'm leaving to drive my youth, they were going into the studio to start work again. So Vaughn didn't sleep on the work. Vaughn didn't waste time with music and with his, his motivation and ability. So
Yeah.
as I had witnessed before, because I did get to go one time in 2006 to St. Croix with my brethren Ryan A Chant from Higher Bound. And, that was the first time I got to work alongside Vaughn in the studio. But that time I witnessed his work ethics and his drive, because the first night in the studio there, we worked until about 5 in the morning, until every man was asleep in the place. And Vaughn recorded the last song with everybody sleeping. He went and woke, the engineer was literally sleeping at the computer. And he tapped him on the shoulder. He said, pull up this one more rhythm. And he recorded. And he sang the song, right off the top of his head. He didn't write anything. And that song's on the album Bless Go Round, Higher Bound Production. and it's called the Photosynthesis King. And so I just witnessed, you know, in awe. I sat there watching this man do his work through the night, even though he was tired. He still worked and worked, and then he said, "All right, let's go. We're done here." So it was very profound work etiquette and discipline. That
Yeah.
you know, all ones that were present is like students to the teacher, because you know he was a leader and leading the way and showing I and I all how to not waste time and how to express, you know, these feelings of truth and these words and wisdom. So very
It's like,
profound.
What are
yeah,
you saying?
man.
What are you saying, Manuel, about the experience itself?
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny, you know, because I remember we wake up that morning, the day he was reaching, and I remember I wake up and I was there doing some things and I see Ruwa running and say, yo, because we thought that he was reaching at 10 p.m., you know, and then Ruba received a message saying he was reaching at 10 a.m., and that was San Francisco, and that was like 8 something, and we were in Grass Valley, you know, that's like a 3 hour something ride, you know. And Ruben was like, let's go, you know. So I remember that was a funny ride, you know, but we reached in time, give thanks, you know. Yeah. That was how I remember the star. But um yeah, as soon as he hear the rhythms and he see the, you know, he just what, yeah, it was just like that, you know. Let's go to the studio, you know. It was like, let's go, you know. Play rhythms for me, you know. So I played the first rhythm, and the first rhythm was just the right one because he was like, yeah, man, bring me paper and pen, you know. So he just started, um, he just started there, right, you know, for a few hours. Yeah, he didn't take that long, really, you know. Once you hear all the song and how, you know, he composed everything and the structure of the song and things and how quick he can reach that, you know, state of finalize and conclusion so quick. But yeah, the first night he recorded like 4 rhythms, right, Biblical? 4 rhythms. He recorded 4 songs the first night, and I remember we entered the studio at 9 p.m. You know, and we left the studio at 4 in the morning, something like that. You know, and yeah, he recorded four of the songs, and then the day after he recorded the rest. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
So when you say like, is he literally not sleeping much at all? Like a few hours or what's
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that as far as sleeping. I just meant that it metaphorically, as far as when you know he slept, he was asleep. You know, but when it was time to work, he didn't waste
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm
That's
doing
what
the
I meant.
math, right? He reaches Cali at 10 a.m. I'm coming from Florida, maybe,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? Stays up till 4 a.m. that night. You know he had to leave Florida. Like he didn't get much sleep. That was a very long
Yeah.
day. That was a long
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That
no,
day, he was awake for at least almost 24 hours,
Right.
maybe.
Right. It's a long day. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, and that's what I meant. He was like a long distance runner with the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you think about all those nights performing until 2 in the morning and then reasoning until 4 in the morning and then trotting back to the I'm sure you just got used to that life.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, when I was in St. Croix, we were in the studio late till 4 in the morning, and when we went back to his yard, go to sleep. When I went to sleep, when I woke up in the morning, he was the last one to go to sleep, and he was the first one to wake up.
Yeah.
And that was just the way it revealed.
Yep.
And then I saw,
Same.
and I got to know him. I realized, well, this man's spirit and soul is very strong, a very, very strong willpower.
Yep.
And awareness of his abilities, and not limited by time.
Interesting. Okay,
So
let's talk about the second day. Um, if there were 4 tunes recorded the first night, second day it must have been 7. That's assuming it was only the 11 that made it to the album. Is that
Yeah.
Was it only 11 that were recorded and they're all on the album, or was there more?
Yeah. No, they're all in the album.
Okay. No throwaway songs.
No. Everything was straight, I remember I was playing rhythms to him, and I remember him telling me, I really like this rhythm, but I'm trying to build something, Like he was really like, I don't want to say picky, but he was really like, yeah, this is the one, And then he will feel the vibe and he will start with the process, But yeah, I remember him a few times telling me that there is a good rhythm, yo. I like the rhythm, but I'm trying to build something.
Was he meant like I'm trying to build the album? I'm trying to build.
Yeah, like the
Okay.
album, like all the songs, the rhythms, all the vibe,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like cooking in a way. He was like putting the spices and the seasonings, and he
Right.
felt some of the other rhythms were great, but that wasn't gonna go into this pot of food.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So biblical. Aishan's mentioned to me one time that he felt like Vaughn must have a photographic memory because of how, from what he would read and remember and have very precise details. Um, does that sound correct based on your reasoning and observations with him?
Yeah, without a doubt. Uh, his memory bank was infinite. To me, I think all of us have infinite capacity, but he knew how to remember and how to store things in his memory because he obviously worked on it and practiced that. It came to him naturally. But yeah, I feel that is true because uncountable amount of times I witnessed him quoting books, whether it's the Bible or the Nag Hammadi, or I mean, you could bring about books from any part of the earth, any culture, and this this man knew about this book. He knew about the truth of the meaning of the words. He could quote them word for word, as is evident in all his songs. I mean, for me personally, I remember first hearing a song he would do live called "Who Built Jerusalem," and he said, "Go ask Pliny, go ask Plutarch, go ask Aristophanes." These are men that I had to go look up. But it's factualities where you look up Pliny and Plutarch. They wrote books about traveling to Ethiopia and historically, writing about the certain things. And the fact that could read these things and that's what he would remember, and he could speak it without premeditating it. I realized, wow, okay, so he does have this ability. And that just made me think, one of the days when I was with them on this tour that I got to drive with them back in like 2003, we were going to Sierra Nevada World Music Festival, and we were at the hotel sitting in the van, and somebody came up to the van knowing that he was there, knowing Midnight and this, and they started talking to him, and they said, how do you write your lyrics? How do you write your songs? And he said, here, give me the Bible. And somebody went and got a Bible and brought it to him, and he took it up and he opened it and he said, look here, read this. And it says, it's in the book of Matthew. It says, do not premeditate nor preconceive what you shall say, for in the appointed time, the Most High will speak for you. And he said, this is how I write my songs. And, that's a very profound confrontation with yourself and knowing yourself. Because when you realize that you don't have to think before you speak, but Jah gave you the ability to respond and to react in the moment and to speak then, is very tuned in, and this is what I witnessed. As he said that, I thought to myself, that's reality. He's not stretching the truth at all. That's just what I see and feel. And as I look at my brethren or even people, strangers I don't know, and they hear the music, I see them feeling that energy too, and picking up on those vibes. So it's really the power in the word and the sound, of reasoning and cognition to the truth, So yeah, I feel that all of that was evidence of a photographic memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he filled his head with all these history books and different religious literatures and could remember them all and line them up and see parallels that other people aren't seeing and recall it all in perfect time. Also with the Rastafari mysticism tied in, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Truly.
Yeah,
I
remember talking with him about Spanish history, things about that, like Spain and, and yeah, he knew it, and even in the recording process, like he used to record like the main voice first, and he used to read, what he wrote, and he used to read. But then for the backups, for the back vocals, he used to just close his eyes and just back up the thing. He don't need to read it anymore, And I was like, wow, because he just wrote all this song, and he don't really need to read it again to back up and harmonize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take him to write any one of the songs?
I mean, depend of the songs, but yeah, I cannot say like a time, but I can say few hours with some of the songs, few hours, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the second day, did he write all 7 songs and record them all on that same day? He must have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
That was deep. When you left Biblical, I was telling Manuel that was deep, the exploration of Vaughn's mind and how he put everything together and presented it in very profound. And that of course is illustrated in this album as well. As we talk about that, is there anything about are there any stories of the recording or any of the lyrics or anything that happened that was of particular profound importance that you want the world to know about? Because you guys were in a session that the fans of Vaughn are going to be keenly interested in. Is there anything that you want the world to know about that session? those sessions?
Well, I'd say what was said so far does say some good things about that. And yeah, I think, there's such a mystical aspect of creation revealing here and now, even after Vaughn has moved on. He's still sending messages and unveiling truths, for anyone who's listening and potentially hearing his words. And that's how it was from the beginning, from the first time I heard, you know, like for example, some of the first time I ever heard Midnite, he's singing a song, Rastaman no beef with no boy, no. Rastaman no beef with no one, you know? And this type of lyrics were so profound because it is just being said in a different way, but to the point of, okay, the man's conscious of what he's eating. He's also, though, referring metaphorically to how, people have beefs with each other. It's like disputes. And he's mentioning that it's like beef. So it's really mystical because somebody might have heard Rastaman no beef with no one and think they don't fight. But then the next person is like, oh, well, he don't eat beef with no one, So there's so many meanings to his words that he was well aware of. And the understanding or the revealing of this it's ongoing. Because for me personally, with this album coming out now, the first single, Who Will Go For Us, was extremely profound because nobody that was present in these recordings had any thought that he would be moving on, or that we wouldn't see him again. So after he left Trinity Farm, it was 9 days, I think, before he passed. And he sang the song, Who Will Go For Us? Here Am I, Send Me. And some of my brethren that were here, not musicians, they were just here because they knew Vaughn and they were here during the recording. They were like, wow, that's the song, because, he it's like he knew. It's like he knew where he was going, when he was going, in a way. And when you listen to the song too, the message is very, very powerful. And it has been since he recorded it, and I've heard it. It's been years before now it's been released. But just now when it released in January, it was the first time I've been listening to the song, and he says this word in the song, prognostication. And I heard him say it, and I never looked up the word, and I couldn't tell anybody what this word means. But then I was driven to look it up just a couple weeks ago. And it says someone who can foretell future events. It's a prophet. Someone who can see the future and tell of what's coming. And it just is very mystical because it's like the song, he said, Who will go for us? Here am I, send me. And then he went. And he used that word, prognostication, So it's very deep because it's like, wow, okay, so he was aware, or he just happened to touch on those subjects, But I would say, that's who he was 24/7. I think he was a man of God. He was a man of Jah. He knew his purpose and he knew his ability, and he had a lot of trust in his reasoning and why he was here and what he was writing and what he was going to say. And on a further note, when I went to St. Croix in 2006 with A Chant and Higher Bound Production, after we returned from St. Croix, he called me on the phone one day and he said, "When is this music gonna come out?" And I said, I don't know. It's A Chant's production. He's going to, be working and doing the final mixing and this and that. And Vaughn said, "Well, I'm just letting you know it would be good if it comes out sooner than later, because the sooner it comes out, the quicker it could help ones in this world, you know?"
Yeah.
And so he was well aware of the need of ones to hear his message. And I couldn't deny that or fight that in any way, because his word came to me that way. And so if somebody said, "Oh yeah, there's this thing he recorded," I would want to hear it, because I know it's of value, and I'm sure when I hear it, it's going to be a message that's profound and makes me think outside of myself, or think outside of what I already know, and learn more,
Yeah.
So that was just his ability as a prophet, of the Most High, able to use words to express truths that are present, but also are ancient and futuristic too.
Wow. So the lyrics book, did he leave that with you guys? I mean, I've seen the picture, so he must have, where he wrote the songs.
Yeah, there I have a notebook where he wrote some of the songs. I honestly don't know if every song is in there. But yeah, some of them are for sure.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I see scans for 5 of the songs. And do you think that was normal for him to leave his lyrics books? He doesn't want to take them with him?
I don't know. I really don't know. I never had any other experience that way. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Is your
I do know. I do know that on occasion in the past, uh, for example, I have a brother named Impy from St. Croix, who grew up with Vaughn and lived along next to Vaughn, a lot. And Impy one time came to Grass Valley and was staying in my yard, and he had all kind of CDs that he kept playing, and they were unreleased albums of Vaughn. This was back in like 2009, 2010 maybe. And I remember one night waking up in the middle of the night, because this man from St. Croix would get up early, like earlier, because the time difference. And I wake up and Impy's cooking, and it's like 3 in the morning, and he's got the music blasting. And I'm hearing these songs I've never heard of Vaughn, and I said, "What is this?" And he said, "Yeah, enough time when Vaughn would be in the studio the night before. The next day he'd be in the market in St. Croix, and he gets in my car and he put the CD in my car, and then he just leave it there. He wasn't concerned with taking it,
right? Okay.
So in a way, he could be similar to his writings, but that was amazing to me, because that just showed me he was a man of the people, and that his music was for the people. And so even though it was not finalized or final mix or anything, he
Right.
still was showing it to them. And trust me, they loved it. They play it like, because his ability and the power of the songs was, you could feel it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, honestly, to me, a lot of times with music, people are like, "Oh, is it a hit? Is it a number one song or whatever?" Vaughn's in a completely different category. To me, every song was a hit. And he was not on any pop charts or this or that, but that's what's so mystical to me, is like, it's a different category. It's not about pop charts.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna talk about pop charts, every song is a hit when you measure out the depths of
Right.
wisdom and knowledge and word, sound, and power.
Right.
And I've been saying, you know, Grammys, this, whatever you talk about Grammys, they need to mention this man. He's in a different world of music. It's beyond Grammy. It's beyond what they've recognized in other genres because his ability and his message.
It's even like beyond genre, you know, like Vaughn touched like so many genres, you know, like hip hop, soul, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some could more hip hop, and some could be more R&B, and some could have real roots, foundation. You know, different genre and different feel.
Right.
But still this expression of word and sound and power that is beyond average.
Right. There's not so many genres that are talking about like mystical things, and it's not even it's beyond even religious music, because it's not espousing some religion to follow. It's more encouraging people to study for themselves. And I mean, there's so many times I've heard Vaughn's music and had to go look things up.
Right. You know, the truth of that too is that one time I heard him say after a show when he was reasoning in the green room with all ears, just quiet, just everybody's silent, listening to him talk and talk. And, you know, he said, questions. He said, question, sometimes said the right way, also reveals the answer. And that's kind of what you just hinted on, is that he would propose a question and not give you the answer, which allows you to figure it out for yourself.
Right.
But the question is so strong that it leads you to the right answer.
Right.
You know? Like one of his albums is called What Makes a King? And that's a question.
Truly.
And the answer is for the listener to figure out.
Right. I was just reading where someone asked him why, your lyrics are so great, why don't you put them in the albums? And his answer was, he didn't want to spoon feed this to people. It's better if they do some work to figure out what the lyrics are.
Right. And that's the truth of even the word question. If you look at the root of the word, it's quest. So he putting people on a quest.
Yeah.
You know? A quest to find themselves, to find the meaning, to find the truth and the purpose.
So Manuel, you've been quiet for a while. I know you had to charge your phone back up, but do you have anything from that same question, like things that happened during the sessions that you think, that the world would want to know about, that you'd like to share?
I mean, again, it's amazing, like the ability, to put so many words together and find that harmonies or melodies that you'll never think about it, That's why Vaughn was so special on that, because it was just like that unique vibe, but yeah, again, I mean, for me, it was really like the first experience because I met Vaughn before, but every time was more like backstage reasonings and things like that. So it was really like the first time where I had the chance to spend time with him. You know what I mean? So the blessing for me was more like just realize that he was just like one brethren more. You know what I mean? Easy. I remember actually him saying like, oh, they say this or they say that, but look, we here, we're doing the same, you know? We talking the same, we eating the same, you know? And yeah, that was like what I take the most from that experience, you know, that level of the brethren, you know, because you've been playing his music so much all your life or half of your life, you know, and then you realize that, you know, you have that level of his brethren. You know, I remember him telling us like how he used to like go to Brazil, and in Brazil they used to like gathering and um like to receive him, you know, and more like a priest or something, you know. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I'm a musician, I'm a brethren with the people, you know. So that's the thing that like take more of that experience of being with him, you know.
Wow. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so Biblical, you already mentioned that after the album was recorded, Vaughn, the guys got news like 9 days later that Vaughn transitioned. Um, I know the whole world felt that. You could see that on social media. Um, he was very well loved worldwide. How was that for the eyes? You know, you had just done this set of works, and then boom, 9 days later, he transitions. How did that feel? How did you? What was that like?
Well, it was shocking, completely shocking. I didn't imagine it in any way. And I received a phone call late at night, around 1 o'clock in the morning here, from my brethren saying he got a call saying he had passed. And I just said, nah, that's not true. He said, I just talked to him. I just heard from him yesterday. He sent me a message, and it was, we had been going back and forth about, these recent works. And he was excited about the works. And so when I heard that news, I just thought, no, I don't believe it. I don't think that's accurate information.
Yeah,
But then my brethren who called me, he said, well, I hope so. But we'll have to see in the morning, see
okay,
if it's true or not. And yeah, upon hearing it, it was just shocking because didn't foresee it, didn't imagine, didn't hope for that in any way. So it was just all of the sudden, and it was heartbreaking. Um, yeah, because it was very mystical just to be close in these days to him before that. And for me personally, I never got the chance to work with him. Like I said, from knowing him from 2003 until 2019, and just the chance that we actually got together in the studio, and then it was like, one of his last moments in the studio. So it was very powerful just to reflect on, and think, well, Jah knows, only Jah knows, you know.
yeah,
We're here today. We got to be here in this time and the moment and give thanks here and now. Nobody knows what tomorrow will bring.
really,
And that just being, the reason why we do what we do, we got to do our best here and now. And he was an example of that to me personally, and to many around that I witnessed again and again. So I just got to give thanks you know, for the opportunity and for the manifestation. and for even knowing the Virgin personally, because he changed my life, and he continues to. He continually is teaching and revealing signs and lifting the veil for others to see.
Manel, what are you saying about that question?
Yeah, same thing, it was really shocking, because all the vibe was so recent, like his energy was there still in the place. And every day we were still like playing the music and keep talking about the vibes and as biblical say, born a message. And I remember we messaged each other for the coronation day that was just before, you know, his
Mm-hmm.
transition and everything. So yeah, it was shocking for real, really shocking for the whole world. We couldn't believe, I remember my phone, and because few brethren knew that he was there with us, I remember that enough people tried to reach if we know what happened or he was there, and I was like,
Yeah,
what are you talking about? Same thing,
yeah,
with confusion, you know, like I don't know what you're talking about,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah.
One follow-up question, biblical. Earlier, you were talking about who will go for us and the lyrics and prognostication. Um, do you think he knew that his time was soon? Is that your vibe at this point?
He, yeah, I don't know. After he transitioned, we all thought like he must have known. I mean, he sang this song, you know. It's hard to say. I can't speak for him.
Right.
But through the years and things, it's not an easy road to be a musician, and the ups and downs, the struggles with people and personalities and things. It's hard to know all that was involved and all that came to be. But I really don't know. I can't speak for him.
All right. All right. We're almost done. Just a couple more topics that I have at least to present. So album's coming out in a little less than 3 strongs, February 16th. It's gonna be digital, CD, LP. It's gonna be available all over the world. Are there any people that you'd like to shout out? I know there's a lot of players on this album. Um, any people you wanna say, big up to?
Yeah, I would like to say big up to the whole family, Vaughn's family, and to his children, and to all the brothers that I met alongside him through the years that I've gotten to know, and all the musicians involved in the works through the years. Um, for example, the musicians at Trinity Farm, Ras Pulse and Big Natty and Tough Lion and A Chant and Walker P and Manuel and Benjamin Ras Chemo. I want to big up Ras Chemo, who also transitioned shortly after these sessions in Trinity Farm. And big up Ras Dennis and all the youth, all my children, and all Vaughn's children, all the basically everybody that was close. I would just like to, give thanks for making it possible. You know?
Your
Yes,
thing.
I
Manel, you have
pick
any?
up Ruby, Jaruba, pick up yourself.
Yeah, man. Have
Yeah,
to have to big up Jarubi.
yeah, man.
Jarubi, he opened the door very much.
Yes, it was good to be around them together, because they know each other for a long time and they've been through a lot together and thing, so it was really good to be around them and hear all them histories about, you know, kids going around with the bike and things like that, you know, and how they found Rastafari and, you know, like you really like feel that special connection between them and then how special the brethren was, you know, and this is why he was one of the only brethren that Bond used to include in his albums, you know what I mean? Rubal, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, big up Rubal, you know, and again all the musicians and everyone involved on this, you know.
Go on.
Yeah,
And
because it's another session, you know. It's not just about this album that is gonna be released soon, but we also had a building redeem session with Bon, you know. So
right, right.
that's another works too with more
Give
people
us a
involved.
give us a little bit of information about that. So was that after the 11 tunes were recorded?
Yeah, after the 11 tunes were recorded, yeah, plenty musicians gather on the studio, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on the yard, and it was just like good vibes and joy. And Bon was leading everyone, and we did like 12 rhythms.
What was he playing?
He didn't, I mean, he played some synths, some time, and some
Yeah,
percussions,
yeah.
and he whistled for the full track for 5 minutes, whistling like amazing.
Was he like conducting, telling people like play it like this or it should be like this vibe?
Yeah, he was telling exactly what to play.
Wow.
He was telling the bass player Kenyatta. He was telling Kenyatta what to play. He was telling me I was playing keyboards what to play.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
he was conducting, directing,
Okay.
everything.
Would he actually get on the instrument
Yeah,
and show you, or would he make it sound like this? Da, 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 da.
yeah. He used his mouth a lot. You know, I mean,
Okay.
one thing. I mean, this is why everything was so easy because we are the same type of musicians where we don't use notes or we don't say, oh, play G or play B or
Right.
play nothing. You know, it was just like play.
Yeah.
You know, he would be like, you know, finding
Yeah.
the note with his mouth. I was saying the bass player singing the bass line, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So
Yeah, but
in case people didn't catch what Mill was saying, there's another album of rhythms that Vaughn basically conducted.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's coming.
12 rhythms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you look forward to hearing that in the future. And then Manila, I hear there's dubs, fresh Living Testament dubs, freshly mixed.
yeah. Living Testament dubs. It's gonna be a reality. Powerful vibes too, you know.
Yeah.
It's like roots music, you know. People is gonna really like the vibes because it's like roots rockers music, you know.
Yep.
So it need this vibe, that album, man. Yeah.
I have a couple big ups after that take place after the album was created, and that's Before Zero Records for the strength with the LP
Okay.
creation and pressing. Um iRoots Records for the strength of the CD creation and manufacturing. Manuel for the graphic design works. Zojak and James for assistance with the video, who will go for us video,
It's a
and for who's going to
great
be
video.
distributing the album as well. I don't know if there's any other I missed, but huge team involved in this work.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
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 that's
man.
one thing I would like. That's one thing I mentioned too about the dub album that Vaughn conducted. That was special because he said, all right, call all the musicians, you know, and this manifested in a collective, a cooperation that was very special because certain man hadn't worked together for some time, and it was like Vaughn brought everybody together as one, and all the past history was done, and everything was right, and people willing to work together and strong again. So he was really a uniting force, a uniting element, you know.
That's lovely.
And
That's lovely.
yeah, and that dub album really represents that well, because just to show you the levels of this music, it's not about competition, you know. And for that album, he said, "Okay, Ras Pulse, come in, get on the drums, give me your best drum track, play me your favorite drum track." So then Pulse come and do one track. After that track was done, he turned and he said, "All right, Scott," which is the next drummer. He said, "Scott, your turn. You sit on the drums now, and you give us your best track." And to see these brothers switch out, you know, without any kind of competition. I mean, Scott went in and played a track, and then Paul came in and said, "What? God, that was incredible." You know, like the amount of support and no bad vibes it was very special, because that's what the music is about. It brings I and I together. Music is harmony, and it's musicians uniting their skills into one. And that's really what happened. And that's, again, he led the way for that. And after that, it's like the is good. Vibes is just high from that, because you know it's like it was like a healing.
Lovely.
You know, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Back to your no beef reasoning, you know? He was saying Russell,
Yeah.
no beef, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the man was always shining the light for others to go the right way, you know?
Yeah.
Showing them how to do it the right way,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah. He also named different artists for us to share them rhythms we build with him, you know?
Oh,
Yeah. So it's gonna be a dub album with some interludes and some tracks of him playing the guitar too that we had the chance to record.
okay.
And then it's gonna be a few albums too with people like Biblical himself, like Abja, Ancient King, uh Rubal have songs on them, rhythms too, A Chant, and yeah.
Just
He
sing on
named
those rhythms.
artists. Yeah, he named specific artists for us to share the music, you know.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all the prepared questions that I have, but I want to leave a moment because this story, I think the world, you know, wants to hear. Is there anything we didn't cover? You know, anything Vaughn said or any final things that are on your heart that you want to say, you know, that you want the world to hear about this album, that visit, things you've realized since then? I mean, not that you haven't said enough, it's been great, but is there anything else that, you know, you want to say?
Bibix.
I'll just say, you know, let the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Most High Jah,
Rasta.
Rastafari.
Aye.
And, you know, I pray for goodness and mercy for the earth and for all the children of the sun, you know, that these works can transcend as they will, as they do, and to enlighten the world, you know, and to enlighten ones for betterment in life. And I just want to say give thanks to all the ones who make it possible, and send love to the family, you know, and to Vaughn's family and his children. And yeah, Rastafari.
Every time.
Yes, I.
Manel, you have any final
Yeah,
final
just
vibe?
same things, you know.
Yeah.
Just words of gratitude for the time we spend and the vibe and what we create. you know? And yeah, really grateful for that time and see the brethren like loving the vibes and enjoying the time together, and you know what I mean? That was a really like good memories from all them days, you know? So and yeah, the music is just great, you know? A good um vibes, you know, roots music, one drop. So yeah, I'm sure that it's gonna be there, you know, in the history, you know.
Yeah,
Yes,
historic. Well, Bridget,
yeah,
I give
man.
thanks for your time. Give thanks for these works. It's an honor to be helping to push this work to the world. And I'm looking forward to what happens once it makes it to the world. So,
Hi, Ray.
yeah, give thanks, brothers.
Yes,
Yes,
I.
Yes, sir.
Rastafari.
Likewise.
What's up? Yeah, Rastafari every time.
Give
Bless
thanks,
up.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Selassie.
Every time.
Yeah, man.